This is my face because I couldn't think of a 20th image. My name is Sinead, and I'm an artist, a performer, a designer, usually for theatre and performance art. I have this annoying tendency to sit between many, many genres, so none of them get me, but they all understand. I work somewhere between performance art, visual art, and theatre, so I do a lot of installation art, sort of crazy, weird performances that work in both galleries and professional theatre venues. The collection of pictures are just stuff that I have done. So this one is from a labyrinth project I did, where I created a garden both inside and outside. So one was entirely synthetic and one was entirely natural, but you could only smell the natural. And this is from another piece I did called Flower Maid. So as you may have guessed by the funny voice, I'm not from these parts. I'm from Ireland, and that's probably why I was speaking Irish at the beginning as well. When I finished school, I moved to the UK to train in the University of Wales, Aberystwyth, where I studied both scenography and performance. I realised that scenography sounds like a made-up word. It has nothing to do with stenography. It is the design of space, so it's kind of like space drawing, so you have to think of everything, both inside and outside, so it's an entire design of everything that happens in the room for an audience, whether that be one person or 10,000. So some of the shows I did, this was a Fluxus thing it was a retrospective from 1968, and we did it again in 2008, where we took the same scores and redid them, and actually invited some of the original performers to come, which was interesting, because we did it very differently. This was from an installation piece based on the life of Jacques Brel, the French singer, which was kind of crazy. So I'm going to speak to you about, for most of this, is the work that I would like to do, while the work that I have previously done happens behind me. So at the moment, I am currently trying to develop solo performance works, and also group performance work. So the solo work is a tendency to be me, sometimes some multimedia, a lot of time sound designed specifically for it, and how that interacts together with the audience. So it's quite, I don't know, intimate in a sense, but also quite huge, because I have a tendency, I like big spaces. And then I would also like to talk to you about a group in Dublin that it's a collection of artists that came together, and we call ourselves the Pro-Social Rule Breaking Club. And there was 2 rules. One of them was we like to break rules, and the other one was but it has to be in a pro-social way. So much kind of like the Cartography Toronto group, we also built maps mostly for Dublin City, maps of smell, maps of how to get lost. Some of these were put up online, some of them were not. There was lots of trying to come up with different ways that we could be pro-social, but what also undermining some of the rules. Little things we did were like travel around and put money in parking meters for people who were about to run out, so that they didn't get a fine. We also did things where we decided that some of the signposts we didn't like. Some of the advertisements, some of the billboards. There was one particularly for a nightclub that had some interesting poses of some very young, scantily clad ladies. So we made clothes for them and stuck them onto the billboards. We thought they looked better then. So I'd like to try to move some of that into Toronto. It's very playful. We also did games in the streets, where we would get a collection of artists, we designed games, and then we would perform them in the streets, and also just invite people via Twitter, Facebook, the website that we had up and running, and also just anybody we happened to meet in the street. So to come along, one of the ones that we did was actually called a labyrinth, which is, and it happens, you design a labyrinth in the old style Greek, but you design it made out of human bodies. So it's a collection of people who hold hands, and then one person is blindfolded and has to try run through it as fast as they can. And you time them. So it's a time trial. There's a world record. I think it's about 12 seconds. I think it's some crazy Japanese people. What he said. I think I have the Irish record at about 28. Now I feel bad. One of the other... So we tried to promote breaking rules in a social kind of way so that we could help people out in the world. This is from the last performance I did in Toronto called Inside the Box, which I toured in the Fringe across Canada. And keeping with the theme of labyrinths that seems to be going, another project that I would like to do is to build an interactive labyrinth for a single audience member to experience at one time, so where every space is different, and it's one of the only places where as an adult you can get lost like a child, but you still know where you're going, but you don't know what's happening next. So the idea is that you travel from one space to the next. This was our pro-social rule-breaking globe passport. It allowed you to go and travel and play. The idea was to travel through a labyrinth where there's be spaces designed with different and interactive things inside of them. But the idea is that they interact with all of your senses. This was the labyrinth competition. So what I would like to do also in Toronto is to engage with many different artists, visual artists, performance artists, sound, graphic artists, to come together to make a giant project so that it's kind of an offering to the audience. It's not a performance per se, but it's something for you to experience in a nice, safe, comfortable and fun kind of way, so that kids can, you can enjoy it like a child. This is a village in the north of Portugal called Piodao, where I built a labyrinth in around the village with the streets for the local people of it. That happened at nighttime. So they came to their own town and got to experience it in an entirely different way. This was us trying to build a map of what we might do in that village. So yeah, that's. I'm kind of running out of things to say because you're all staring at me. And I've just looked at my stopwatch and realised that I've been talking for longer than I should have. But thank you.